Picture this, you're doing your job at a local restaurant and as you go to check out for the day, you slip through the flooring. Like how one would no-clip in Gary's mod or use spectator mode inside of Minecraft. Instead of seeing the entire world from below, you instead see the yellow wallpaper and moldy carpet, and you can also hear the annoying buzzing of the fluorescent lights. And also, congratulations, you've escaped reality and ended up within the Backrooms. On the 7th of January 2022, Kane Pixels releases a video labeled "The Backrooms Found Footage." The video begins with people filming a movie. It resembled a school project or something alike. Our cameraman is given instructions for a wider shot, and as he backs up to do so, he ends up within the Backrooms. He then picks up his camera to explore his new environment, but it appeared like our cameraman was being stalked by someone, or something. Our cameraman then continues his adventure, until he finds writings on the wall. Most of them seem to be made by people who got stuck in the backrooms before our cameraman got stuck himself. As our cameraman analyzes the writing, he is attacked by a slender humanoid creature that has a somewhat resemblance to a stickman. Our protagonist escapes into a convenient hole in the flooring, keeping him away from that creature, as he ends up in a place that resembles a home without its furniture. While our protagonist is there, he plays with the lights to distract himself, and to be honest, I think I'd do the same thing. As our cameraman begins to question his situation,
This isn't real. This isn't real.
He encounters a second humanoid creature that looks like if Thomas the Tank Engine grew skinny legs and arms and also started moaning. As our protagonist is hiding right next to a pit, the second humanoid creature takes our cameraman, but the camera falls into the pit, revealing that there are exits within the Backrooms. Well, in Kane Pixels' universe. Video 1's sub-video is placed within the description and is labeled March 11th, 1990 archive.tar. Video 1's sub-video begins with a device loading in a tar file labeled archive. And some of the first images that were archived from the tar file was an image that looks extremely familiar to the Backrooms we know and love, except the workplace environment is replaced with a cold and colorless palette. Maybe it's another Backrooms level. After cutting through some science gizmo, we are directed to images with people's faces blacked out and even more liminal spaces that appear to be studied and researched by said people. After showing an image of what seems to be a research laboratory in development, the following image solidifies that the Backrooms are being monitored, as the men whose faces are blacked out are actually monitoring the Backrooms. After that, the video directs our attention to what is classified as Null Zone 4. There's some text I could not read, so I entered the comments section to find some answers. And so I found a user by the name of Zanwas Darkus. I might have butchered his name, I'm sorry. And he explains that the text next to Null Zone reads out as followed.
Due to the elevated discrepancy between panel 225 and 234, a small KX field is created.
The same user goes in detail of what an KX field is in his comment, and theorizes that these null zones were built to ward off entities and protect the scientist. He also backs up his claim with the original video, The Backrooms Found Footage, on how the cameraman escaped the first entity by jumping down a hole, even though that entity could clearly just jump down with him. But it chose not to. On January 14, 2022, Kane Pixels releases another Backrooms related video labeled Backrooms The Third Test. The contents of this video explains that on July 2nd, 1988, a foundation labeled Async tested its low proximity magnetic distortion system for its third time, which in my guess was what led to the discovery of the Backrooms. Held in a press conference in 1988, the vice director of Async, Ivan Beck, describes that if they are given sufficient funding, they can create a fix for the world's storage and residential problem that can potentially save billions of dollars on property construction and management. Except, this fix would lead into a trap that the entire globe would suffer by. Backrooms' first contact was published on the 18th of January 2022, and just like the last video, this video follows a documentary type of vibe, and begins with an FBI notice stating that any unauthorized viewing, distributing, and reproduction of the tape was strictly prohibited. So, good luck. After skipping through the logo of Async, it directs the viewer to what is called Test 6. This is possibly the 6th time that Async had tried to accomplish an infinite storage room, like how they attempted in the video Backrooms the third test. Except this time, they had done some modifications to their project. It's a good thing to notice that there are 2 words that are blanked out when they reveal the things that they've modified, so that's pretty interesting. And on the 22nd mark of the video, the viewer is given a cut of a frame with the word failure in reverse repeated 3 times, and a jumble of symbols, numbers, and letters. So, once again, I adventured into their comment section, and I found a user by the name of... I'm not gonna even try to pronounce that. I'm sorry. And they explained that the jumble of words, when flipped upside down, it equates to the symbol of particle multiplicity. The same comment goes into great detail on what particle multiplicity is. After the look into the modifications, the viewer is shown a machine that resembles a doorway that's connected to many machinery, making it look like a portal. Because it was. As the experiment begins, the reality within the doorway starts to shift and twist, and it soon gives us an eerie sequence of what sounds like 2 scientists debating whether to continue with the experiment or deactivate it.
Jesus Christ, turn it off now! Shut it down now!
Wait!
What is that?
Something there. There's an obstruction. It looks like... No, keep going.
Sir, this isn't safe!
The building is in ruins. Concrete, dust, and pipes layer the floor. The camera is now on the ground. The fabric of reality has been torn, and humanity will suffer for it. That was not the original audio. I actually got some of my friends to do that, and I just edited it. So thanks to them, and you should go watch the original video, idiot! Video 3's sub-video is found within Video 3's description, just like with Video 1. This video is labeled collateral.mov, most likely referring to the collateral damage that the creation of the gateway of the Backrooms had caused. And by the way, this disaster happened on the 17th of October 1989. This earthquake managed to set fire to roads, bridges, and buildings, cut power to an entire football stadium, make a bridge collapse, and countless other storefronts and homes collapse under its quake. For your information, Kane Pixels got his disaster footage from the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake, so you can continue your own research from there. And that day was unfortunate. Video 4 begins with countless images of missing persons, thus the video name, Backrooms Missing Persons. After the images of the missing persons, a graph is presented to the viewer. It was a graph reporting the missing person cases throughout 1980 to 1990. On 1989, there's a massive spike of missing persons reports, most of these most likely being caused by the creation and testing of the Backrooms. And as the graph is slowly made to predict the future of the missing persons, it is increased drastically, most of these as an effect for the Backrooms being fully tethered to our reality. After one more look into the portal that leads into the Backrooms, it then cuts to an async logo, which then directs the viewer to 3 figures inside of hazmat suits walking within the Backrooms. One of the figures are carrying an elongated tube to most likely lead them back to their base, and another is carrying a briefcase with contents still being unknown to the viewer. The 3 figures stumble across a large heap of black mass, and within the substance a corpse with a suspicious hole in its forehead lays there. There's also no reason for the body to be that one cameraman we saw in the beginning of the video, for that video was canonically made in 1996 and this video takes place in 1990. And there's this whole playlist that's in order made by Kane Pixels, but I'm instead going in earliest upload to newest. So I hate myself and I want to die! After zooming into the body, there's a swift flash of what seemed to read out as, "If anybody blame him," written backwards. This him figure could be the vice director of Async, for this is the only substantial figure we've known so far other than that cameraman. May he rest in peace. Video 5 is a more informational video than the rest of the prior videos, for this one is 8 minutes long and the title is literally called Informational Video. What do you expect from me? After passing through another Async logo, the video begins welcoming the viewer to the KV31 Project and Research Development Team. It's after that the viewer is told this.
Project KV31 pertains to the study and development of the Async Low Proximity Magnetic Distortion System.
And where else have we heard of a low proximity magnetic distortion system? Back in video 2, Backrooms the third test. In that video, the viewer is told this.
Async Research Facility tested its low proximity magnetic distortion system for...
So we can confirm that this is the same machine found in the Backrooms third contact. You know, the door thingy that spawned in the portal to the Backrooms? Yeah, that one. And we can also assume that this is the same model used in the third video, Backrooms the first contact. So in that video, we're hinted at what is called Test 6. And down at the bottom of the screen, what do you know? That's the Roman numeral for the number 6. They then cut into the machine that is spawned in the Backrooms. Then we observe the list of names that it's given. And one of the names stand out from the rest, but honestly I can't put my finger on it, I'm sorry. They explain that going in alone in the Backrooms is strictly prohibited, and you need a couple of friends to enter the Backrooms safely. So there's no chance in me getting into the Backrooms. After that, we are given 4 new characters in hazmat suits giving dialogue to each other that I don't want to decipher for they are too muffled. I believe that they are new people from the way they behaved when entering the Backrooms.
Wasn't close.
Our new cameraman hears what seems to be a crowd of people. As he approaches the noise and finds its origin, it's just an empty room. Our cameraman looks back at his companions, and as they walk past his hallway, there's a bright flash and suddenly they're gone, and so is the chatter. Our new cameraman is scared out of his mind, and honestly, I think I would be too.
Guys? George? Open! Hey!
He explores deeper into the Backrooms and stumbles into a house that's straight out of the 1800s. And within the house there is disembodied breathing. So naturally he got himself out of there. He then finds what could be his research facility, except it's empty and barren. Until...
Hello?
It's good to notice that back in video 1 sub-video, we are directed to what is called Null Zone 4 and how it has grown a KX field. Maybe this KX field is what caused our cameraman to separate from his team. Why did the alarms blare, one might ask? I just need to remind you, back in the last video, before it could end, one of the men said this.
It's organic. It's some kind of fungus?
It could be that our new cameraman had just contaminated this facility with the fungus from the Backrooms, which made it go into lockdown. And when our new cameraman entered the Backrooms, There were no walls or windows, but there is now. Could the backrooms negate time itself? It might as well if they got 2-year-old girls falling through the floor. Like, Jesus Christ, the backrooms is messed up. And if so, could the corpse found in the last video could be the first cameraman we saw at the beginning of this video? No. That guy got snacked on by Thomas the Tank Engine, and this guy got the new COVID variant, so... One thing to note that this video was made in the 29th of January, so this alternate universe is kinda fucked. Video 6 is labeled Backrooms Autopsy Report. It begins with an unknown pathologist as they described a subject. It cuts to our subject and it appears that it's the corpse that was recovered in the black mass found in the 4th video, Backrooms Missing Persons. This pathologist explains that this subject most likely died from malnutrition, proving that this isn't the first cameraman we saw in video 1. The same pathologist explains that the organism growing inside of the subject is a mutated version of what is called Hay bacillus, an organism that is meant to be found in the gastrointestinal tract of the human body. And he explains that it's meant to be harmless with a word benign, except he cuts himself off in awe of his situation. This leads me to believe that there is a mutated version of Hay bacillus in the backrooms, and it is entering the gastrointestinal tract and doing something negative to it. Maybe that was what happened to the subject that is being currently operated on. After that, we are given this chilling sentence.
Mr. Beck, may I ask where this subject came from?
It appears that Mr. Beck over here is keeping the truth of the backrooms out of the public's ears. Video 8 is named Backrooms Motion Detected. It begins with the date, March 5th, 1990, which, you know what? I'm not gonna even list the dates anymore. Kane Pixels had already made a playlist with all the videos in order. I'll just say it there, cause why not? It appears that Async is building a home base of sort. Maybe this was the building found in the last video, that is if the backrooms does negate time. It appears that Async is setting up a perimeter to monitor the backrooms, as the viewer is told this.
7 modified video cameras optimally positioned along lateral division A. Each camera has been modified to send out an alert and begin recording when the motion or substantial noise has been detected.
It then displays a diagram of setup cameras. It then explains to the viewer that the following recordings are on the night of March 5th and the year is most likely 1990 just by looking at the video description. 7:39 p.m. 3 researchers pass Central Division D, causing motion to be detected. 8:26 p.m. The 3 researchers return from their expedition, which causes motion to be detected. 9:02 p.m. What is called a supervisor passes by camera 6. They were most likely checking if the cameras were working or something alike, which causes motion sensors to go off. 9:14 p.m. The threshold barrier, which is most likely the door to the backrooms, began to close, causing the noise detection to listen in. 1:06 a.m. A noise that is to be determined is heard by the noise detection, and it sounds like something's breathing or something's walking about. 2:13 a.m. There is a microphone failure. It might be caused by the to-be-determined noise back at 1:06 a.m. 3:53 a.m. Motion is detected and it catches what seems to be a tentacle-like being emerging and disappearing behind a corner. After the creature retreats, the footage ends. Video 8 is the latest video sent by Kane Pixels at this time. This video is what it sounds for its labeled Backrooms prototype. One of the first things that we are told is that this experiment was conducted on May 10th, 1982, under the supervision of a man named Philip R. Heyman. Above that, it reads out, courtesy of Oak Ridge National Laboratory, which is a real scientific research center under a government watch in the US. It then cuts to a machine which is most likely the prototype referenced in the title, which in the future will become the threshold for the backrooms. It then comes to life. As it does, it creates a small rift inside of the machinery. After a while, it disappears and everything is back to normal. Back in video 4, the video has a flash of what reads, "If anybody, blame him." I've already speculated that this him figure was Mr. Beck, who is the most substantial figure we had known in that time. This Philip R. Heyman might be another candidate for this him figure, for Philip practically pioneered the Backrooms and Mr. Beck just basically continued his work, so they're both good candidates for this him figure. In the playlist for Kane Pixel's Backrooms footage, Backrooms Prototype was the first video in the playlist, and it's the beginning for what will become the Backrooms. After an unknown second test, the third test had Mr. Beck asking for funding, so they were given a higher budget for their experiments. After 3 more tests, they were successful in the 6th test, which led them to first contact to the Backrooms, which led to the collateral damage to the nearby buildings. After the creation of the Backrooms, people began to disappear in a rapid rate after the Backrooms was connected to our reality. While on an expedition to the Backrooms, Async Foundation members discover a corpse with fungi covering it. The next video is about the body that was found and how it had contaminated a mutated version of fungus named Bacillus. It is meant to be completely harmless, but this mutated version of Bacillus is doing something unhealthy to the body. In a flash and in a TV screen, an unknown publisher talks about how the Backrooms can be controlled and how it should be condemned. I'll let you theorize why this publisher thinks so. In the next video, we are shown that a scientist may have warped through time after entering through a KX field, proving that time may not account in the Backrooms. After the video where the scientist disappeared and warped through time, Async began to create a base where that scientist who time traveled would have come back to. They begin to set up security measures, and with those security measures they discover their first entity as it lurked behind a corner. In the next video, it appears that Async has been monitoring the Backrooms for a while now, to the point where they can notice how their null zones could house KX fields that can make scientists disappear. And the canonically latest video is of a kid who is filming a video with his friends, and as he backs up to film a wider shot, he ends up within the Backrooms.